What's going on, y'all? It's the kid J Nolan here, and today I want to talk about Griselda Records. All right, there's been a lot of chatter going on. Conway's been doing a lot of interviews. Benny the Butcher's been doing a lot of interviews. Who hasn't been doing a lot of interviews is Westside Gunn. But my cousin, shout out to Hurricane, he reached out to me and was like, "Yo, man, you should let your channel know how you feel about the fact that Benny and Conway don't necessarily have any ownership in Griselda Records." All right, so I want to break this down in the most simplest way that I can, but I'm gonna give y'all some context as to why things like this actually happen. All right, when the label Griselda Records was founded, this was the brainchild of Westside Gunn. Okay, this is something that he had in his mind around the time he left Buffalo and moved to Atlanta, and he was working with the producer by the name of Camo Monk. They started making records, and that's where Westside came up with the name Griselda Kids. All right, so before it was Griselda Records, it's been documented that it was called Griselda Kids first, which was really just kind of like a loosely based collective of dudes that came from Buffalo, was in the A, and just recording records together. So although all the original members of the group are related, this is effectively Westside Gunn's business. All right, so I'm quite sure if you look up the records on Griselda, it's not in all of their names, which is something that's very important. So later down the line, you end up getting Conway and eventually Benny moving down to Atlanta as well to get this label jump started, which to me I find like super intriguing to know that so much is going on in Atlanta and you really don't even know about it. I'm from Atlanta, you know what I'm saying, and so many people just believe that the trap movement is what's going on down here, and it's so much more than that. You know what I'm saying? Just to know that Griselda, the reigning torchbearer of East Coast boom bap hip hop, Buffalo, New York, that they're crafting all of this music coming out of Atlanta, you know, just to get out of their immediate surroundings that they grew up around, and trying things differently as far as pursuing their career in music. But who would have thought that this stuff was being created in the A? So here we go. We got all of the Hitler Wears Hermes series, Fly God, all of that stuff. You know what I'm saying? Conway ends up coming out and all this stuff. But Benny is still up top in New York. I think when they really started getting things going, he was already locked up on his way out. So eventually he comes along and joins the pack. So that's important to understand. People know the story of Griselda, but I think what is missing is the fact that when Westside Gunn is out here constructing this idea and putting all of the pieces in play, it's coming out of his pocket. You know what I'm saying? Anything that he has to do for his projects, or when he starts taking on other people's projects, or even just paying the people around him, it's coming out of pocket. You know what I mean? Now, I'm not saying that these guys, Conway and Benny, never put no money towards the construction of Griselda. I would not say that because I don't know that. And based on how family moves, everybody knows if one person's down, everybody pitches in. That's how it's supposed to go. You know what I'm saying? No one will fall if we're all each other's crutches, right? So this is where things get a little sticky, because nowadays we see Conway, and it's not he's clarified that it's not beef, but he's saying, "Hey man, I fulfilled my contract with Griselda Records, so you know I now have the option to either renew that contract, or I can go separate ways and see what these labels is talking about." You feel me? So now you got this thing where he's got his own label, Drumworks, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's the name of it. So now he gets to pursue his own career as a businessman and see what that looks like on his own. Benny the Butcher's got BSF. He just signed a deal with Def Jam. His Def Jam debut is on the way, right? So now people are looking at this like, how is this even possible? And then they got people out here that's joking. That's like, oh, so Griselda is basically like the beach cruiser from Friday that Debo got. You know, it's like both ours, but you know, just keep it in my house. You know what I mean? But in reality, the Griselda story is very much parallel to the way that Wu-Tang Clan was constructed. All right. Now, RZA is the glue between all of the members in Wu-Tang. You know what I'm saying? He knew all of these members, whether their family like Jizza and Old Dirty, you know what I'm saying? But he knew Meth, he knew Ray, he knew Ghost, all of these guys separately. But he was the one moving around Staten Island, going to Brooklyn, going to all of these different places, providing beats for all the homies. You know what I'm saying? And in his mind, he got this idea for the Wu-Tang. You know what I mean? Like, if I take your style, his style, and we all merge it together, we're unstoppable. You know what I mean? But as you see, when you look at the Wu-Tang show on Hulu, it's depicted that the Wu-Tang business is RZA, his brother, and Power, who put the money up. So when you start seeing things go a little left later in the relationship with all of the Wu-Tang members, and now they don't want to rap on RZA's beats no more, or they don't want to follow the creative direction that he comes with when it's time to make an album, people start looking at it crazy, like, yo, why the fellas mad? Well, the fellas don't feel like they've been properly compensated over the years, and they don't always feel like their ideas and the things that they want to do get fully taken into consideration, because RZA has always been the mastermind. He's always been the owner. He's always been in that position of power with everybody, and he was always the one that was able to use manipulation tactics. And I don't mean manipulation tactics in a negative way, but even when you look at the show, he always had a persuasiveness that could make guys fall in line and do what needed to get done. Now, early on in all of their careers, they didn't have nothing going on. These guys were either selling dope or trying to work 9-to-5 jobs that they couldn't keep. You know what I'm saying? Because they wanted to be artists and they wanted to also be involved in the streets, whatever they had going on. RZA had to be the voice of reason for a lot of that. You know what I mean? For them to even make those records to complete into the Wu-Tang. But you got to understand, as everybody starts to mature and get older, they start getting other direction and ideas of what's going on, what they want to do in their life. But they looking at him like, yo, man, I helped build this too. Why you get to just be the singular voice of what we're supposed to do? It's not how this works. But from a business standpoint, RZA is exactly that person. You know what I'm saying? Because in the chain of command, it's gonna be RZA, it's gonna be his brother Von, and it's gonna be Power, who put the money up. And I think he was like the head of Wu-Wear and all that type of stuff as well. If you ain't put the money up, not to say that they didn't put no money up, because as the show depicted, everybody had to pitch in like family, like I just said a few minutes ago about Griselda. But at the end of the day, that paperwork is gonna have somebody's name on it. And if your name is not in the paperwork, sadly, you're not gonna be the beneficiary when everything kicks off. You're not gonna be the one that's in all of the meetings. You're not gonna be the one that's learning all of the business and seeing everything that's going on, because you're not even gonna be invited into that conversation. You know what I'm saying? And this is why RZA has always been the leader. You know what I mean? And when he went on to do film and do all these other things that intrigued his mind, he's successful because he's already coming from a place of being educated from back in the days. You know what I'm saying? He was one of the first people to get a deal. Remember, him and Jizza got deals as totally, he was Prince Rakeem, you know what I mean? Jizza the genius. Everybody else was just kind of like trying to figure it out. They was watching them like, dang, they got on. So they had experience in the industry, seeing what a contract looked like, seeing what it was like to put out a project that you didn't really care for and to get dropped off a label at the same time. So he's coming into the game with a little bit of understanding that everybody else don't got. And he's like, I ain't gonna get treated like this ever again. So to relate this back to Westside Gunn would be like the RZA. You know what I mean? And that's why you hear situations like Westside Gunn and Benny, they're not coming out and saying, I don't like Wes. They're not saying, I got beef with Wes. They saying, that's his shit. You know what I'm saying? Hey, I've done my job over there. Ain't no reason to keep asking me what's going on. We're family. We always gonna be connected. We always gonna work together. But whether or not I'm signed to the label, hey man, it don't really matter, because that's his company. I helped build it up. He upheld his agreement to put me on. We all elevated at the same time. We're all stars now. We're all able to get this money in the industry. However, that's his business. You feel me? And although there's people out there that are sad to see things work out that way. They don't like seeing things work out that way because you want things to remain the way that you perceived it when you got introduced to it. You know what I mean? Unfortunately, in the world of business, that's just not how everything works out, man. And that's why on this channel, I always talk about ownership. There's nothing wrong with signing to a company, but you also got to understand what you're getting into when you do sign with the company, especially when you sign to a company with somebody that's your family member that you feel has the best interest at hand for you or at heart for you. But sometimes people don't know what your best interest is because their idea of your best interest and your idea of your best interest may not be in perfect alignment, but y'all still ain't had that conversation. And you don't even know what your idea of best interest is just yet because you have no experience in the business. All you know is you want to hit the studio. You know what I'm saying? So it's going to take time before you start investigating what's a good deal, what's not. How this person over here got all this bread and I'm over here looking, you know what I mean? I'm on my third, fourth project. I ain't really busting down the rollies or the paddocks or the APs or whatever's going on at the time. You know what I mean? Like you gotta wait to get yours a little longer. But you see everybody else balling, and it's like, yo, I've been putting in work. We've been hitting stages. We've been, you know what I'm saying? We done did shady deals. We done did all type of stuff. Rock Nation management. But I feel like I'm still behind. And the reason why you still be behind is because you're not investing your own personal dime to make things happen. Now, you might pay a cameraman or somebody like that or videos or things of that nature. But at the same time, you're signed to Westside Gunn, who's going to put together your budget, whatever that is. He's going to probably go get your artwork or pay the artwork or, you know what I mean, help you facilitate studio sessions or whatever, anything that you might need along the way. But that's coming out of your budget signed to him because he's going to get a budget allotted to him from the label, right? So if there's a shady records deal, yeah, you as an artist are signed in a collective situation. You know what I mean? So Benny and Conway were signed as individual artists, but they were also signed as a group. And as a group, that included Benny, right? But Benny didn't have no solo deal on top of that. So these are all little things in the dynamic that have been discussed over the years, but nobody really understood why the dynamic of them played out the way that it has. You know what I mean? So I just wanted to dive a little bit deeper. I haven't been like the most closely tuned in person when it comes to the business of Griselda or even the music of Griselda in certain cases. But just from my understanding of the industry, just from my understanding of how things have gone with other labels and just understanding how things go in business, these are the things you got to look out for, man. You know, I think the best thing going is that we haven't heard anybody come out and say that Westside Gunn owns their masters or owns their publishing. So as long as those things are still intact, Westside and Griselda probably own the catalog, you know what I'm saying, the masters. But as long as they're getting paid off of it and there may be a track to reverting back to them over after a certain amount of years, then it's pretty much no harm, no foul, because he took the risk on, you know what I'm saying, investing and bringing on his folks. And people don't understand that even though you're family and even though you got love for each other, there still is a financial risk of putting anybody on. And if you don't believe me, go put your money up towards somebody else. You know what I'm saying? Don't just invest in yourself. Go get your homie, say, bro, I'm gonna invest in your career. I'm gonna put the money up. I'm gonna put the time and energy up. We're gonna hit the studio late nights. We're gonna travel the world. But I'm gonna be the one fronting up all the bread to make it happen. You know what I'm saying? Think about how that goes and how it's like, okay, I don't mind putting it out, but I gotta make this back. You know what I mean? And I may not make all of it back. A lot of times that's how it happens. You may not make every dime back, but you're trying to get something in return. You know what I'm saying? And now, like I said, all of them are stars in their own right. They all can go get their own individual bags. So now they could come back to the table as bosses and they can collaborate and move even more free than they did before. All right? So that's just my little synopsis of the situation. I hope y'all enjoyed this quick breakdown. I don't want to include numbers because I don't know what they signed for, what type of money they make, what they get for a show, and all of that. None of that really matters. It does, but it doesn't matter in the sense of how they constructed this label. All right. Stay tuned for the next video. I got a lot coming. All right. I've been very busy lately, so please do forgive me for not posting in the past week. I got a lot of other projects that I've been working on, clients I've been ghostwriting and co-writing for, sync projects that I'm trying to get completed. A lot of sync music has been coming out on my behalf lately, so just trying to keep everything in order, keep my business in order, because I do manage myself. I am my own agent, so it's a lot that goes into the world of J Nolan. YouTube is just one of those rungs on the ladder. All right, catch y'all on the next one. Peace.